Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I cover nostalgic, obscure, or otherwise strange content. Today I was thinking about cartoons that people have asked me to cover for a while that I haven't been able to get around to, and I was like, let me fulfill a request right now that I've been meaning to for months, and that is Happily Ever After Fairy Tales for Every Child. This is a show that ran on HBO Family, I think is what it was technically called back then. This ran throughout the second half of the 1990s, and it was a cartoon that retold classic fairy tales, and it was special not just because it had a great cast of voice actors. A lot of really prominent celebrities, actors, comedians would often do voices, but also it put an emphasis on representation for children, portraying stories from around the world with a vast diversity in the characters. And I think that's really cool. I never actually watched this, I don't remember. I remember seeing commercials for it on all the time, but I don't really remember it. But shout out to Shelby McKinney. She's a longtime viewer of the channel. She was actually the one that reminded me of its existence, and I've seen some other viewers in the comments agreeing with her that this would make a great video or videos, so I'm just going to cover one today, and we can always return to it later because I know that they made a lot of different ones and I'm sure they're all good. These have all been uploaded to YouTube, and I'll link it so that you guys can go and watch it or rewatch it. They all look good. I don't know which one I want to cover today. I do a lot of planning for these videos, you see. Little Red Riding Hood looks great. Also, Beauty and the Beast is my favorite. I will say that my second favorite is Little Red Riding Hood, and I also really want to cover that, but I don't have time for two tonight, so I'll cover Beauty and the Beast, and then we will circle back around for Little Red Riding Hood. And feel free to sound off in the comments if you remember the show, what your favorite episode was, because I'd love to cover more of them. Okay, so this episode features, among other people, Vanessa Williams as Beauty and Gregory Hines as the Beast / Prince Koro.
Once upon a time, there was a wealthy merchant.
So the narrator starts off by telling us that, like a lot of other versions of the story, we start off with a merchant who has 3 children who he tries to give as many material possessions to as he possibly can.
The first was his oldest son, Tree, given the name because he was big and strong.
I think it's really interesting because I've never seen a version of this story where Beauty has a brother. Well, that's not technically true. In that really bad Good Times video, she had brothers, I think, but like in this version, instead of having 2 sisters, she has a brother and a sister. I just think that's cool.
Though some say it was really because he liked to stay rooted to one spot.
I can't fault him too hard for that. You know those days where you're just like, ugh, I just want to read a book and not move or talk to other people.
Oh, can you fan a bit faster? I'm starting to sweat.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm straight up antisocial.
The second was his older daughter, Precious, given the name because her father had so much love for her.
Oh, that's so cute.
Though some say it was because she had so much love for herself.
Oh, well that makes it less cute, I guess.
And finally, there was Beauty herself.
And then we see Beauty. She's talking to birds who love her in true animated princess fashion.
Who was so beautiful, even at birth, that her father could think of no other name for her.
I will say it's nice that in this version, the merchant gave all of his kids good names, because in a lot of other versions, I think I've talked about this before, he names Beauty Beauty because she's just so beautiful. But then he names his other children like normal names, like Steve, and it's just like, that's how you know who the favorite child is.
But those who knew her all agreed that her true beauty came from within.
But anyway, Beauty's very pretty and kind, and everybody loves her.
All told, they were a very happy family with no problems worth mentioning.
Oh, that's good. Can we end the story here before things get dicey?
And had they stayed that way, there'd be no story to tell.
No, I guess you're right, Mr. Narrator.
But one day, Beauty's father's fortunes took a sudden turn for the worse.
So the narrator's like, we need something that's good for the plot. And then the merchant loses all of his stuff. All of his fortune, all of his ships.
He was near the brink of ruin.
Everything sinks or burns or is stolen. It's very unfortunate.
Try to look at the bright side, Father. None of us were hurt.
Right, so Beauty has her priorities straight. She's like, look, everybody's okay. We're all alive. That's what's important. And her brother and sister are like,
how can I possibly be happy? I haven't worn a new dress in months.
But what about our stuff, though?
I have friends to the east who have offered to loan me money and merchandise.
So he's like, I'm gonna go on a little trip, I'm gonna work it all out, and his two oldest children ask for material things to be brought back to them.
When you come back, could you bring me a new perfume?
How should it smell?
Expensive.
I think he was asking more of like, you know, a fruity scent or a floral scent. And true to most versions of the story, Beauty just wants a rose because she's very humble.
If you should happen to see a rose, I would love a cutting for the garden.
This was not a point that was in the Disney version. It got adapted into being the magical rose, which is also a great way to utilize that part of the story, but it's nice to see the original story be told sometimes too.
But only a few hours after Beauty's father started his journey, a sudden wind arose.
Dad gets kind of lost in a sandstorm, and then he comes upon a really trippy looking castle. It's like leaning to one side. It's very cool looking. It doesn't seem structurally sound.
I'm sure whoever left all this delicious food won't mind if I have a bite or two.
But inside the castle, he finds a bunch of really good looking food. And then we see our first glimpse of the beast. He looks very ominous right now.
Roses. Beauty will be so pleased now.
And then her dad is like, oh, look, roses. And he picks one for Beauty, completely innocent. And then that is apparently where Beast's hospitality. It's where it draws the line.
Was it something I said?
I already love this version of the Beast. So Beauty's dad passes out, is woken up by a bucket of water to the face, harsh, and then he's met with the most sarcastic version of the Beast I've ever seen.
Have we gotten that out of our system now?
He's very upset about the stolen rose.
I assume you noticed the gate? The locked gate?
Which, to be fair, he has a point. It was gated off.
I only picked the rose as a gift for my daughter. Daughter?
You have a daughter?
So upon hearing that the merchant has a very pretty daughter, he's like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I should hold you as a prisoner for the rest of your life, but instead you can send your daughter back in your place. You can't send her back into her place. I mean, she'd be taking her. Never mind. I can't talk.
One of you will live the rest of your days here.
I read somewhere that the original Beauty and the Beast was written as an allegory for arranged marriages, which were obviously the norm back when the story was written. And I think that's really interesting. It does also make me sad every single time there's a version of the story where the dad voluntarily lets Beauty go back in his place.
I can't possibly send poor Beauty to take my place.
But to this version of Beauty's dad's credit, he's not quite as willing as some of the other versions I've seen in other adaptations.
Why can't Tree go?
Me? Why can't you go?
And while his other kids are fighting over not wanting to be the one to take his place, Beauty does volunteer herself.
I'll take your place, Father.
Huh?
Which I like that, because Beauty's a very strong character. I like that she makes her own decisions. So he goes back to the castle with Beauty.
Have you come willingly?
Yes, my lord.
This version of the Beast also makes sure that Beauty is there of her own volition, which is good. It establishes that he is a very moral character. I mean, yeah, he didn't have to take a prisoner at all, I guess, but back in that day, it was pretty common to punish people who stole from you in very exorbitant ways, I guess.
But there's no one here.
Oh my god, the gargoyles are alive. They're cute. They're like tiny purple dragons. So they take her to a beautiful suite. That's her room. There's like magical flowers that bloom on their own.
How could such wonders exist in the home of a beast?
It is cute that he put roses in her room, considering the circumstances. Or maybe it's passive aggressive? No, I'm gonna say that it's cute. I decidedly am going to say that it's cute.
Beauty, beauty, beauty.
It's a personalized cuckoo clock?
I think it's time I met this mysterious beast.
So next morning, Beauty goes off in search of the beast. She's like, look, I'm gonna be living with this guy for the rest of my life. I better meet him eventually.
Will she?
And without his knowledge, she peeks into a room and sees him singing and dancing.
And try to make her laugh like a happy guest.
Not only is the vision of the Beast dancing in his bedroom to his favorite song just a super adorable picture,
She is such a princess, could I ever have her hand?
but he's singing about trying to impress Beauty, which just makes him even more endearing. It kind of looks like they took inspiration from like a rhinoceros for the Beast's look, like with the horn. It's interesting. I've never seen a design like that. No, whoa, calm down. Sorry.
I frighten you, do I?
So he's embarrassed by being caught singing and dancing.
No, yes, which is it?
Well, of course you frightened me when you snarled at me like that.
And so they kind of have a little bit of a, not an argument, a misunderstanding.
You're terrified of my razor-sharp claws.
I must admit they're quite impressive.
I love how he's like, yeah, you're terrified of me, right? Admit it. And she's like, actually, you've got some pretty solid nail game.
You don't act much like a beast.
How would you know?
I love that she's not scared of him at all. And that almost makes him disappointed.
Beauty saw that the only truly beastly thing about the Beast was how he looked.
Oh, it's like in the Disney version when he's feeding the birds. I have a little pop vinyl that's Beast and he's like feeding the birds and they're like in his hands and like on his head. It's really cute.
She also discovered how much he really cared for her.
So they become really good friends.
Then would you marry me?
And eventually, he asks her to marry him.
But I really can't say.
She doesn't give him an answer either way. It's a very confusing situation that no one ever expects to be in, living in a magical castle with a beast and all.
What's wrong, Beauty? Have you grown weary of being imprisoned here with me?
Maybe the use of the word imprisoned kind of answers your question for you.
The only real magic here is the magic you brought with you.
I like the little hug.
I can't help worrying about my family.
So she really misses her family and she asks to go home just to visit, you know. So he agrees. He gives her 2 trunks to fill with things to bring back as gifts for her family and also a magic ring that'll help her come back when she's ready.
All I ask is that you return within 4 weeks.
But if she doesn't come back in 4 weeks' time, he'll die of a broken heart. Very tragic.
But the trunks were magical and could never be filled.
Like Mary Poppins trunks. Also, I like that the gargoyles are like, I will help you fill the trunks.
I'm back.
She gets home and her brother and sister think they're being gaslit, I guess.
How on earth did you get away from that beast?
Oh, I'll explain all that later.
Makes it sound like it was a little more harrowing than it was.
Where's Father?
Father took ill after he left you at the beast's castle.
Oh no, did the dad die?
Father?
Beauty?
Oh, thank God, I thought he had died.
He had more than enough to rebuild his business.
So, with the things that she's brought back from the magical castle, the family has been able to regain financial security.
You aren't still thinking about that vile beast, are you?
Yes.
But soon, Beauty realizes that she really does miss the beast. In true rom-com fashion, they never know that they're in love until it's almost too late.
The beast let me visit if I promised I'd return within 4 weeks. I'm due back tomorrow.
You waited until the night before you had to leave to tell them? Come on, that was a bad idea.
Didn't he threaten to kill Daddy for simply plucking a rose?
He never threatened to kill him. But, you know, her family, specifically her dad, doesn't want her to go back, and her dad specifically asks her to stay for 1 extra day, which nobody thinks could really hurt.
1 more day won't make much difference.
But it will.
People spend a lifetime.
Beauty gets a song too! I love when things are musicals.
Do I stay? Do I go?
The song is a bop too. Also, very small animating detail. They created her braid out of, it's basically just hearts drawn over and over, and that's her braid. I think that's cute. It's really pretty. It's just a nice artistic choice for the character. But at the end of the song, she decides that she does indeed want to go back to be with Beast, so she turns the ring, she goes back to the castle.
No.
And he's not looking too good. But he's not dead. He's just kind of passed out because she kind of kneels down by him and starts crying. And her tears kind of fall on his cheek. And he's like, oh, hey.
Oh, thank goodness.
How was your trip?
Do you love me enough to
be my wife?
I love how melodramatic the Beast is.
If you would be my husband, I would be your wife.
That is how husbands and wives work. I'm sorry, it's really cute. It was funny how she said that. And she kisses him and voila! He's human again! Side note, Disney, last time I checked, does not include human again in their cut of Beauty and the Beast that they have on Disney Plus. Because technically it wasn't in the original movie, it was a deleted scene. But it was on the DVD copy that I grew up with pretty much my whole childhood. And it's one of my favorite songs in the movie. And now I don't get to hear it when I watch it.
Just to be sure, let me hear you growl.
Okay. It's like a less cringy version of in the live-action Beauty and the Beast remake where what does she say? She asked him to grow a beard and then he growls and they like put in like over Dan Stevens doing a pantomime growl, this really weird growling sound. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Beauty's father came to live with them in the castle, and Tree and Precious.
So, they get married, her family lives with them, and it's a happy ending for everybody.
They all lived happily ever after.
That was really cute. I've never seen that before. I'm sure all the episodes are just as good. I always gravitate towards Beauty and the Beast. It's just always been a favorite of mine. But another one of my favorites really is Red Riding Hood, so I will probably cover that soon too. You know, I have some time. I might actually be able to just record a separate video for the Little Red Riding Hood one now, especially since I've been meaning to do this video for so long and I'm just now getting to it. And then you guys will just get back-to-back Fairy Tales for Every Child video. I think that's what I might do, because I do want to see that other episode. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. Everything you do to support this channel means the world to me. If you're new here and you're a fan of nonsense, maybe consider sticking around because I post nonsense all the time. And remember, my name is Avery. I'm a YouTuber if you say so, because thanks to you guys, this is technically a YouTube channel. Bye!